Hello, everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop for June 2nd, 2018. It's already June. Really? Oh. It's summer. This is episode 78. For those of you who are joining us, welcome. This is a show where we discuss some of the kind of tabletop news of the week. Things that have come out, things you want to know about, things you want to learn, can ask questions and discussions. And look, whatever.
No, I'm laughing because I just saw James's still photo, which he looks rather startled.
Look. The other option I have is Joe, not Joe James, which I had for like when you were here and James was here with Worm, but you're not not Joe James. I mean, it's accurate. It's not Joe. It's not James.
True. No, at first they had a picture of him rather startled.
To be fair, that's a fantastic picture.
It is a fantastic picture of you.
Oh, it is. But you look like someone just like poked you in the butt or something.
I think it was deer in the headlights, but that was an interesting direction to take it. Anyway, so for those of you who are joining us, we have an interesting docket for you to go over today. We're going to talk about Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, the new release from Dungeons & Dragons. We're going to talk about Pathfinder, its 2nd edition. They've announced a playtest that's going to be coming up in August, so we're going to talk a little bit about what they've information that they've provided us about that. I want to Betrayal House on the Hill upgrade pack, because it's one of my favorite games, but the upgrade pack seems like something that is both unnecessary and a little money grubbing. So about that. Cmon Games has a bunch of games that have been released in the course of May, which I want to talk about a few of them, and then we'll finish up by talking about the board game Jester's Court Thyself, which just has a really cool name. And of course,
I'm going to suit myself.
Yes. Then we'll finish up with our normal segments, our Kickstarter Korner, our Week on Tabletop, and of course, Consult the Table. Why don't we start? Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. That's a really good place to start here. So, it's new release. From Dungeons & Dragons, of course. It's information on just like supposedly replacing a monster manual in a way. That's the question I'm going to ask first. Just from like looking at the information they've previewed, because it does seem to dive deeper into various types of enemies that you can face against. So that would say to me, hey, these are monsters we can fight. Hey, Squoink. But is this just basically saying, here's some more information on them, or is it saying, here's a bunch of ones you can use? Am I expressing that correctly? I don't know if I'm really expressing I want to express that.
No, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah. Because, like, they've had books in the past that are more like, hey, learn about these creatures a little bit more. Which aren't bad things to have. But, because, like, it's new demons, new devils, varieties of elves and dwergar, dozens of creatures. So it does sound more monster manually from the information they gave. But this, from like the previews you can check and the information and that, it doesn't seem very monster manual in the traditional sense, you know?
It might be also going more in depth.
Yeah, that's true.
To give you more background on like their societies and stuff.
Which is also not a bad thing. It does add for more interest in what it is, you know. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And this is supposed to be some more high-level play they're talking about, too. It's supposed to be a little better for that.
Right, so it could also be maybe a high-level play monster guide, basically.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they hit on the 9 Wars, the Blood War, the Lords of the Abyss. So it's like pretty big enemies and groups and cults and stuff. And then of course they do, the thing is, it's like it's an interesting mixed bag, because then they also talk about like some various races and stuff. They give information that spreads to other groups, you know, like elves and dwarves. So it's that's the question I have, is like that I think I'm going to hint on here with this one. Is it necessary the way they're doing it? Because a monster manual is a monster manual. A guide to a region is a guide to a region. And granted, I understand they're trying to make it feel like this is maybe something that Mordenkainen would publish, because it's like an interesting characterization. But is that something necessary for them to take in our directions? To be like... I don't know if they need to be that, like, weirdly interesting. I guess if that's what you can say about it. Weirdly interesting? Yeah.
I'm weirdly interesting.
That's true. What do you guys think on this one? Is this a direction they really should be taking? Like, I feel like with the other books that they've put out, they have been doing a little bit of the similar, like Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Right.
I feel like they're like as a business person, I appreciate the fact that they're trying to get a lot of revenue by publishing these new books, but at some point I feel like it's a self-defeating purpose. Like when they publish this book, it'll kind of drive sales away from the monster manual, which is kind of like a core book that everybody used to want, and maybe they'll just be like, oh, there's this guide that has everything we could ever need. So it's kind of like self-cannibalization, and it's concerning.
Because they do have, like, if you can find some, like, some basic information from the table of contents and index, and there's a lot of monsters in here, including, of course, you know, specific ones like Drow and Dwergar of different, you know, class in quotations that you can fight against, which is fine. I think there's also some, like, ogres and stuff like that. But then, like, if you look at the chapters, you have that entire bestiary and monster list chapters. And then you have chapters on, like, dwarves and Dwegar, Gith and their endless war, halflings and gnomes, elves, which aren't just drow, they're all the elves, including Shadar Kai, Eladrin, and things like that. And then the Blood War crap, which includes some tiefling sub-races. So it's like, I feel like they don't have an identity.
Well, and we're going with that, though. It's Mordekaisen's travels through the multiverse.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it would be all over.
Yeah.
That it's not going to be specific races or anything. It's going to be touching on lots of different things. And if they're going to start focusing on maybe higher level play, and that's what this is for more higher level monsters,
mm-hmm.
I don't think then it's a bad thing that, okay, here's a specific, you know, book then for your high level campaigns that you can pull monsters out specifically.
I get that. I do get that.
You know, instead of calling it maybe like the Epic Monster Handbook or something, you're giving a little bit more, and it might also, I would think with a Mordenkainen book, it would be more like that they're adding more of the lore in as well.
I mean, they do have, like, stats for 3 of the Demon Lords, apparently. Jublex, Orcus, and Demogorgon, at very least.
Right. So to me, I think it's more focusing on higher level play and possibly more the lore behind these things.
Which is... I just think, like, the format, it is a little too... I get that, though. I just thought it was like, you know, okay, why do we have to, like, specifically make it... Do we need to make it feel like, you know, this is Mordenkainen publishing it? Is that something that's necessary? We could do the same thing without that, like, extra level of, like, creativity? Is it necessary creativity? Does it detract from the overall bits of information you're trying to tell? Also is the kind of thing, you know? Which, again, like, if I look through this book, I would say to myself, yeah, high-level play, it's supposed to. You know, without reading through it exactly on its own, I don't know necessarily. And we know that, yes, when it's got Demon Lords, it's probably higher level play anyway. that they theoretically have stats for them in there. It breaks down large major groups, not necessarily just enemy groups is the problem too, which is, I think, an interesting thing. And then it gives character options splattered in there. You know, when you look at things that's like tiefling subraces, information about, like, you know, halflings, gnomes, deep gnome characters is an entire part of Chapter 5. You know?
Like I said, it could be more of a high level play book. In general, trying to maybe focus on stuff like that.
Then you wouldn't have the character kind of options like that. Because it's probably just for basic characters. It's got to be a mixed play. It's not just focusing on that. Which I think... That's what I'm kind of saying. Is like, is this detracting because it's not enough focus?
Maybe it's basically a catch-all of ideas that they didn't have another place for.
Yeah.
That could be it. Yeah.
Because that would make sense. Of okay, we don't have we don't have enough to make a book out of any one of these subjects right now. But we want to put some of this stuff out, so why don't we give it some flavor of Mordekaine's adventures to the universe, and it kind of ties it together in that way.
Yeah, that I think can true. Yeah, and definitely the fact that, agreeing with chat here, that putting these as enemies is something that we can kind of add in here. Like, yes. You could play a drow. Now you can fight some drow. You know, I don't think the Dwergar you had, but I guess, like, it also hints into fighting against these races too, which is, it's a fine thing to do. I think it's a good book. I'm not going to deny that, but I don't think necessarily it's the best book that they could have put out. And that's what I'm thinking just by looking at the information here, you know, what they have in it. If I could sit down and read through all the details, I might be able to change my mind. But that's just...
Yeah, I mean, until we can actually see what's in the book and get an idea of what they're going for, you know, we're kind of throwing darts in the dark.
Well, you can get a little bit of that information.
We're trying to read a scroll in the dark.
I'm trying to read a scroll in the dark when we got a summary of the scroll and a little bit of information and blurbs from it.
Yes. It's like, we know what this scroll does, but we don't know the right words yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of details we have, but it's not all the details. And I think that's one of those things about this book, that it might come to light a little better than everything, but I guess that's one of those things about 5th edition, because they keep doing this. Maybe you are correct that they're just basically like, well, we keep, like, brainstorming all this crap together, and none of it really, you know, we don't have enough for one book altogether, so we'll just throw a whole bunch of it together and call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That, you know, okay, well, you know, we want to put something out, but we have all these little tidbits.
They have game design ADD. Because they keep designing all this crappy stuff, and then they have to put it together somewhere. I mean, still, they do manage to make a unified, in quotations, theme, which is good, but still. I don't know where they can go from Mordenkainen and Zen. Like, I guess they can continue with, like, other figures that they have, and just have more of them do stuff. Like, Blackstaff's amazing book of spells or something stupid like that. I don't know. I can't remember anybody other than Blackstaff and Mordenkainen at the moment here. There's a couple other characters that I'm forgetting right now that I could pull them out of my butt and be like, what will they have them do? What was appropriate?
I don't believe they would be happy if you pulled them out of your butt.
Well, you know, it's their fault for, you know, like, teleporting there in the first place. Teleportation magic should not be used in that way.
I agree on that. Stop teleporting into Matt's butt. You prefer your butt, James.
I would prefer, to be completely honest, 0 people's butts.
I'll agree. Oh my god. That was, I'm not, oh god. No, we're not.
Yeah, we're weird. We know it.
All right. So, Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, it's a good book in that it will help you out, and it's supposed to help you out in your high-level play, and it should give you some interesting ideas for if you're using demons / devils / all those normal races, and a bunch of it is what you get when you're in chat now, and all the other bestiary creatures. Because again, one of those things that I personally love is things like Monster Manual / bestiaries all the time. I like them a lot because it's always interesting creatures. So I think that's the part of it with them having a pretty decent size Monster Manual portion of it, bestiary portion of it, that kind of brings me in. So check out Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. It's available now. See for yourself. If we haven't sold you and or detract you, I'd say, check it out for yourself. Again, like, I don't think it's bad enough to detract, but if you're especially if you're a dungeon master, I'd say check it out. If you're a player, find out from someone that has it if it's got stuff that you're going to be using in it, then get it.
Or go by your local gaming store and check it out.
Yes, that's always a good one. Local gaming store, you can page through a little bit and say like, oh, there's some cool things in here that I would use as a player, and then be like, purchasing. Anyway. Let's move on, though, because I do want to talk about Paizo, and they are looking to playtest Pathfinder. Pathfinder 2nd edition.
One thing I have to say right off the bat,
Yeah.
10th level spells.
Which is amazing,
Yeah.
by the way.
Which is good and bad for one thing. One thing, mathematically, it's cooler that they have it, like an actual 10 level. Does this mean they're getting rid of cantrips / 0 level, or are they just calling them cantrips? We're not referring to them 0 level, and then we have 10 levels of spells?
Or is this on top of things?
That's true. They're going to have, with the playtest material, they have the 10 levels of spells, 4 spell list. They're now having archetypes and multi-classing rules. So, archetypes have been a big thing in Pathfinder. Fixing up combat maneuvers would be easier. Cool. Simplifying it a little bit. Cool. More Galarian stuff. I'm fine with that. I like Galarian as a system. They're claiming they've overhauled initiative. That's something I'm curious about. Background systems. I guess that's a lesson from 5th edition, which is not a bad lesson.
Yeah.
Balancing magic items out again. Changing around proficiencies. Then making Alchemist a core class. Changing classes around. And you're having... Goblins is a playable character right off the bat. I guess Goblins are popular enough that people want to do that. And other customizations, and changes to feats and stuff. The thing about this is it's both a second edition, and it feels like also like an update. I'm not sure... I'm curious to see how much they've actually changed things, because if you look at Dungeons & Dragons or even Shadowrun, who have had a lot of additions, there are pretty major changes between all the editions. Then again, if we look at World of Darkness and let's say Vampire the Masquerade, there have been not very significant changes between a lot of the editions. There have been some, but not nearly to the major degree that, say, something like going from 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons to 4th edition to 5th edition, or even from 1st edition to 2nd edition, like AD&D to 3rd edition. Those are major changes. Shadowrun, major changes. Here, is this going to be closer to the Vampire model, that it's like some changes, but it's like more an update? Which might not be bad for Pathfinder. It might be easier then for people to get into 2nd edition using the same material they had before, if it's not major updates. So they could keep their massive library of stuff, pretty much, and they wouldn't need a lot to adapt it.
Right.
So, what do you guys think about this? Are you pumped for it? I'm I'm interested to check it out.
I really want to see where they're going with the spells. Like, are they adding a 10th level thing, or are they rearranging stuff? Because if they're adding a whole new level of spells, one, does that mean they're going to be focusing on higher level gameplay? Two, where would that be? What levels are they? How are they going to rearrange what spells you learn at what levels then too?
Yeah.
Because obviously a 10th level spell, considering how powerful 9th level ones are, I mean, are you going to be just getting that at 20th, or is that going to be something they're going to be saying, okay, this is going to be at epic levels?
That's true. And I actually wouldn't mind if they actually did come up with some kind of epic level play. I think that's one of those things that both 3rd and 4th edition at least did, which I thought was good. That maybe them not doing it here, is it a problem? No, not necessarily. But, like, a good example is they don't talk about that at all in 5th edition, really.
Right. And I miss that.
Like, yeah, I do too. It's like really hard to play, but it's really cool. I mean, Pathfinder did some of that kind of stuff. We really had it in 3rd and 3.5. Even 4th edition, they balanced it out to 30 levels. So they technically had from level 21 to 30, you'd be your epic character. But they had it balanced out that from the beginning, which I liked, even though there was other things I did not. 4th edition, mixed bag. I liked it for certain reasons. I disliked other things about it. But there were things like that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool that they're already planning that out. That you can get up to this, like, super epic gameplay.
Right.
Pathfinder gave us mythic heroes. It's the closest thing to really epic level that they have. And even that's an entirely different system, kind of shoehorned on top of it. So, I don't know. We will see, I guess, if we're going to see that at all. Well, the thing is, at least they are offering it for free, too, which is good.
I'm sure it's going to be one of the things they're testing out at PAX.
Yeah, we might be able to see it at PAX Unplugged, yeah.
Like last year when we got to test out
Starfinder?
Starfinder, yeah.
Well, the thing is, they're going to be having copies of printed versions of the playtest rulebook, playtest adventure, and playtest map pack that they're putting out at Gen Con. Maybe they'll have it also at Unplugged? I don't know. Because that's... They seem to focus more on things like Gen Con and their own convention that they had recently. Which they didn't really... It wasn't seemingly as big as they could be, but whatever.
Right, but I'm just saying, considering that they did Starfinder at PAX Unplugged...
It was a leftover of Gen Con. Come on. When we got that little, like, sheet about, like, playing through the different adventures for Starfinder, it was technically from Gen Con. They're like, there's some leftovers. Here you go.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't... But I'm saying they still might do it there as well.
No, yeah,
I'm not saying it's going to be the introduction.
Yeah.
Considering it's only its second, year and everything, they might not be like, okay, we're going to throw all our eggs in that basket right now.
Oh, no, and Gen Con is still, like, the big one there in Midwest, but this is, like, the big tabletop convention in the East.
Right.
At least hoping to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to try out the Pathfinder 2nd edition. I like Pathfinder, so it's one of the ones that, regardless of any complaints you could have about it, it at least evolved 3.5 in a way, and even though it kept with some of those traditions of it, i.e. way too many books, at least they found a stride with their books that, they try to keep them interesting. Interesting enough. They're not like, this is a book of fighters. They're more like, hey, here's a region. There's some things in that region you might want to learn about. Or, oh, here's like, people that are bloodlines of ancient civilizations from our play places. Maybe you're one of them.
Also, I don't think 5th edition would exist as it is if it wasn't for Pathfinder.
I'm actually sure of that. You can see Pathfinder's influence in 5th edition. Technically, you can see 4th edition's influence to it, and but both of them had heavy influence on 5th edition as it evolved. And if 5th edition's having an evolutionary influence on Pathfinder when we come to 2nd edition, I'm gonna be happy about that too, because it's gonna be like they're both improving each other by almost like doing this. It's kind of cool. Kind of neat, kind of yeah. And definitely I like how they've got like a little adventure you can play with this one. Doomsday Dawn. Ooh.
Ooh. Ah.
I mean, they have been previewing things like the stat block and the wizard class and some other classes, I think, too. Because apparently, I guess they're improving the stat block, which is actually something I found very interesting when you're looking at it.
Wait, do they have any of the list of spells?
Get off the spells, Joe.
I haven't seen
want to know.
Well, it's like the stat blocks. They've done something interesting for it. They got rid of one of the numbers on attributes.
Okay.
It's just a modifier number now. So you're not looking at like, oh, I've got 20 strength, which would be +5 modifiers. Just you got +5 modifier to strength. Which
I can see that for especially newer players.
Yeah, it's sort of like
that would be a lot easier.
You could be able to just say like 0 is average, and then you go up and down.
I remember in my early days of making a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of hey, I get plus 18 in this roll.
And
everyone's like, "How are you doing so much damage?"
Because you're out of your strength. Yeah. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Which it's something small like that there's like alterations to the stat block like that seems like very interesting and quite a change. Yeah.
So, from my viewpoint, I started with 3.5, and then I tried 4th edition and found it not to my liking, and then I started playing Pathfinder. And so I'm just worried that they're going to make the jump from 3.5 to 4, where it got, I'm not going to say worse, but it got to not the D&D that I knew. And so that's my main worry. It's just like, this is just going to end up with a worse version of Pathfinder.
That is something that I definitely think we do have to worry about.
But see, I'm not as worried about that because a lot of the reason Pathfinder got created was there's a lot of people who did it like 4th edition, and people jumping ship from D&D to create another game. So I think that they learned the lesson of what 4th edition did, and I don't think Pathfinder would make the same mistake. ...
They might make their own mistakes.
Yeah. I'm not saying that they won't make any missteps, but I don't think they're going to come out with something that was as bad as 4th edition, in my opinion. I know some people like it. I couldn't stand it.
I liked it for different reasons. Like if I'm going to call something like a true essence of what D&D is, I will not point out 4th edition. But there are essences to 4th edition that I did like a lot. I liked the tactical sense. It's like if you like a good tactics game, 4th edition was great for tactics. I loved that. And yes, I feel like unless you specifically were writing on your own, it's a lot harder to throw the role-playing in. The role-playing, just the actual role-playing, that's fine. That was always easy to do. That's just like, hey, I have conversations with people. That's easy. The essences of like the dice rolls and the mechanics behind that, I feel was less important, in 4th edition. It's like you never had any abilities that were based around like social or stuff. It was all very combat heavy. Everybody's abilities for, even like the wizards. So like I would never have a lot of like the utility crap that you have. So I don't think they're going to go that far, but yes, they might make some changes that we might not like. Like the stat block thing, that's something that I'm like curious about it, but it's also like I understand why the change of it, but it's like I never had a problem with the modifiers. It's just, I guess, yes, it is an outdated thing to like be like -10 divided by 2, and that's your modifier.
I think that's trying to go into the simplistic route that 5th edition did.
Because it's even simpler than 5th edition, because 5th edition still does the modifier.
Right, but I'm saying I think that's what they're doing with that.
Yeah.
Is, oh, well, how could we simplify but still be different?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a newer player, it does get a little confusion out of the way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A classic player is probably going to look at it and go, what the heck? Where's my... And just write in what their actual strength is.
But that might be their strength now. Your strength might be a +1 strength.
Right, but you know what I'm saying is... People might still be like, I want a bigger number there.
I mean... when you play enough other game systems... You would avoid that, but I'm guessing if you're like purely like D&D and it's like purview of games where you have only encountered like things like that, yeah, I can understand a little bit. Like even if you're harkening back to like 1st and 2nd edition, that was like, yes, you had those numbers. They meant a lot weirder things in 1st and 2nd edition. You didn't have like the modifiers, which were like, we're making this easier for you to understand these numbers.
Right.
So,
but I think in general it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'll see how they, once everything comes out, we'll see what they have changed. Like I said, my main thing is I want to see what they're doing to Magic.
Mm-hmm. You have anything else you're thinking about with this, James? Reflecting upon?
Well, I'm altogether. I think I'm just interested to see what direction they take, because there's just so many ways that they can take this to either a new height of a game that I really like to play, or something that I'm going to pretend doesn't exist. So I'm just really interested to see how they play with it.
Yes, I can agree with that. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction they actually take on it. So it's only about 2 months away, and you can get the free download of the all the Pathfinder playtest products, PDF, free. So that's going to be the rulebook, the adventure, and the flip map. So the thing about the flip map that makes it very convenient is if you wanted to do something like play it on a Roll20 or something with people online, that makes it easier to get the maps that way. But anyway,
right.
So Pathfinder, we'll keep talking about it as we learn more about this. Maybe get a chance to check it out eventually then too. But the playtest is coming up for their 2nd edition, which, remember, is only a playtest. So if we see some really, really bad stuff there, they can still fix it. Hopefully.
Never.
That could be what happens. Yep. All right, let's move on though. I want to talk about Betrayal House on the Hill, the upgrade pack. All right, so this is done by WizKids. So, which is kind of weird because Avalon Hill, which is technically a subsidiary of Wizards, who's a subsidiary of Hasbro, does Betrayal at House on the Hill. Now, WizKids have started doing some like D&D stuff / Magic stuff on the side as a publisher. So they've coming up this upgrade kit. Okay. God. It seems like both unnecessary and like an obvious of like, why didn't they do this earlier?
All right.
So the big thing about these that I can really just point out is rather than using those stupid plastic things which never stay in place, they've got little spinnies for the numbers. Marked where you're supposed to put it. And, like, a marking on the card that, like, it should start at this number. So that you can blind the two up to where you're supposed to start.
Yeah, because those stupid sliders were horrible.
Those little sliders never work.
They're
Quite right.
either way too tight or way too loose and just fell off.
God. Granted, okay, this is something that's coming out for a while. It's November, I'm sorry, it's September when we're finally going to see it. It's supposed to be an expansion, but it's $15. I don't know if the new and improved sliders and the spins and the dice are worth it. Granted, they do have, like, interesting full-colored art with new pictures for all the characters that make them seem a little bit more unique, and it's got the two sides, and yes, it marks, like, yes, you should be starting at this, that stat, you can turn them. Cool. It still is, like, they still look surprisingly close to each other.
Yeah.
The characters. And the dice, I don't know if you need, like, specialized dice, which they're just green. This look like ectoplasm. Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see this and I'm just like, WizKids / Wizards / Avalon Hill. What are you guys doing? Here's a question that I'm going to ask about this one. Rather than just, this product, would a product like this for any board game you have really draw you into it? Like, if you think of, like, whatever board games, like some of your top favorites, and you saw something that was just like this, basically, like, improved characters and a new set of dice, when it already has its own unique set of dice, a new set of them that are, premium. Would it draw you in enough?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah. I think it's the same for me.
Yeah, I mean, if the characters were, like, completely different.
Yes. If it was, like, a new set of characters,
if it gave the game more of a twist, then probably.
$15.
I would just... What I would do is probably just come out with, hey, the future games are going to have the spinners instead.
Yeah.
Or I would, if it was like $5-10 and it was just the characters with the spinners, I might even spend that. You know what I mean? Just like, okay, just to get rid of the freaking annoying things, I'll spend like $5 and get them reprinted with the spinners.
Kind of, okay. I'll give you maybe, there's like levels of this that I feel like the spinner thing. That's your first $5. Awesome. That'd be cool. Okay. Now we've also updated the cards with awesome new art. Okay, that's an excuse to charge more. Did we need it? Not really.
No.
Does it insinuate the characters a little bit more? Yeah, I'd say, like, though they still look similar to each other, they begin to look different enough, so that's helpful. We didn't really need that, but I guess it's fine. And that's what we're supposed to be getting another $5 for. So it's like, that's dropping our worth there. And then we have the dice, which the only reason, because these dice look interesting, but they don't look really great interesting. They don't look like I would buy these dice on their own kind of interesting, Maybe like buy one. Like, okay, I got a cool green kind of like ghosty ectoplasmy dice. Awesome, I'll throw it in the dice bag. But since they're unique dice, the only reason I would see, like, to really point these out would be like, maybe I want more dice for my game, just so we can spread them out around the table and make it easier, that we're not reaching across all the time.
Right.
Which can be a problem, but that's like a minor problem. God. I don't see the value as much for myself, at least.
Yeah. Like I said, if it was cheaper and maybe just the spinny things, I'd pop, or cheaper and like if it was $10 and you got all that,
Yeah.
I think that'd be a fine price point.
Mm-hmm.
But for $15 just for some extra dice and some spinners, newly designed characters with spinners that are pretty much the same characters, just like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that worthwhile.
Yeah. It just does. I agree. It just does not feel as worthwhile. And granted, there isn't a lot you can do to really tweak original Betrayal characters. So, like, it's hard to make new characters, because it's just a matter of balancing out stats between the characters. But I guess you could experiment with that a little bit more than they already have. I mean, the fact is they only have 12 versions of this combination of numbers. And if we're thinking that there's like the 2 3s, a 4, and a 5, which isn't the always way to do it, was like, or then 2 3s and 2 4s, between those two combinations, we can get a whole lot of characters.
Right.
And I'm sure you can come up with even more combinations beyond that. So, I don't know. That would have been interesting to see. Like, maybe, like, someone that's all around bad except for one stat. So, you have 1 6 stat that's really awesome and a whole bunch of 3s. So it would be, like, more of a challenge to play that character.
Right.
I would have loved to see more stuff like that. But I think what I would have said is if they did all this and even 1 or 2 more new characters, then I think I would have said it was worthwhile. They wouldn't even have to have a whole pack of new characters. They could have just done this and added a few extra. As it is now, as a game I really love, I just don't think I have the... Like, it's not something for me because I just don't think I would have the budget to say I would spend money on this.
Right.
Granted, maybe if I had, like, the budget, maybe.
You with a budget?
I know. Me with an immense portion of, like, excess money that I could spend on something? Well, then maybe, but if not... You guys have anything else to say about this? The idea of, terrible expansions?
No. I feel like everything that you need to say has been said because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could make a bad joke comparing it to something else, but I'm not going to.
We appreciate your candor.
I was thinking we were going to compare it to Munchkin because the terrors of that. But...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Steve Jackson.
The terrors
so
of
bash
Steve...
them enough.
No.
Even though we love them, we can bash them enough.
No, we haven't. We must continue to bash them in the name of love.
We love Steve Jackson. We just don't love everything they do.
Mm-hmm. And we'll continue to work on them, so perhaps one day they'll learn their lessons and stop that. Welcome, new citizen of the Empire. Well, I'm glad that you, got back in a row there, James, while you were here. Thank you.
It popped up. I'm like, shit, let's do this.
I understand that kind of thing. Those pop-ups, and you're like, oh, wait, yeah. All right. So, let's move on to the next topic, though. I did want to hit on Cmon Games has come out with a bunch of releases. So I want to talk about them. Alright. Let me just bring this up. Cmon Games. I think they have 3 releases, I believe.
That's correct. It counts the 4, the Panda game, and the Dragon game.
Yeah. Way of the Panda, Dragon Castle, and Council of 4. I mean, that's the thing I have to say about Cmon Games. They always have very interesting looking games. Even if they're like games that, like, when you look at the mechanics, they'd be like, not really for me. At least they have like a very interesting style. So I want to kind of like hit on these a little bit each. Dragon Castle, 2 to 4 players, like 30 minutes to play. They say maybe a little bit more. As the Dragon Castle crumbles, you're basically lords that are you're opportunistic. You're lords. You're seeking to lure people to your new realm, kind of rebuild your power. You take on the role of one of these lords. You have to build a castle that inspires the people of the realm. So you're constructing a castle. And it's... Mahjong tiles, would they look like?
They do, yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think of it. It's like you're building a pile of Mahjong tiles. It's the reverse of that puzzle game where you're supposed to take away the, like, on the computer where you take away the Mahjong tiles by matching them or something.
You mean actually playing Mahjong?
Mahjong?
Is that what actual Mahjong is? I'm thinking of
Yes!
I'm thinking of a different... Oh, gosh. I'm trying to think of a different game that uses... I was trying to think of a different game that was using similar tiles and comparing it to that in my mind. Not the actual Mahjong. So that's my bad.
You monster.
I know. But yes, so it's the reverse of that. And apparently that's building a castle. And, you place sets of the same type of tiles together. You earn points, allowing additional shrines. And you can use spirits and dragons to get assistance.
So this game looks interesting,
Yes.
but I'm going to say I'm probably never going to play it just because if I pick it up, I'm going to want to play with these Mahjong pieces, and if it's like integral to how I score the game, I'm just going to mess everything up just by my little... I'm going to move this tile over here. Let's try and stack these 2 tiles. Can we lean it? Let's make it like a T. Ooh, can we make it like a pyramid kind of thing? It would just not be good.
Nope. No, but I get that, though. I think for me it is a similar kind of thing of, like, I would not be against playing this. I don't think I'd pick it up for myself, though. Like, if somebody had it and offered, like, to play it, cool. But, I mean, it is Mahjong towers with little, like, towers and stuff you put upon it and special cards. And I guess technically they're, like, they're pseudo-Mahjong tiles, because I guess some of... I don't know, like, enough about actual Mahjong tiles to know which ones are, like, not matching and stuff, but they have that same style. I wonder if you could use them as a actual game of Mahjong. Question mark.
Maybe.
Let's take this idea back to Cmon. Just, hey, have you ever
Alternate way of
considered
playing.
using these tiles as Mahjong tiles?
No, alternate play suggestion.
That sounds like a great alternate play suggestion. That is incorrect image. Browser
You're
source.
a correct image.
Dang.
Uh-huh.
So, the other game is... One of the other games is Way of the Panda.
Yes. Way of the Panda.
And I'm just gonna say this has the correct amount of miniatures. Because...
I'm going to say this probably should have came out, like, years ago.
Yes.
whenever Kung Fu Panda came out, that's when...
Yeah.
Or that expansion from World of Warcraft that had panda people. Both of them would have been a great time for this. See, like, that's when I look at those panda people, those are the 2 things I thought of. I'm like, Kung Fu Panda or that WoW expansion with pandas.
Kung Fu Panda is
Mist
the
of
only thing that
Pandaria.
came in mind.
Thank you. Mist of Pandaria. I'm glad that Kung Fu Panda isn't the first thing that comes to my mind, because I never liked it, so...
I'm not a huge fan of it either. It's just...
What are you guys saying? It's a stirring story about a young man growing into his slightly chubby figure and growing to accept other people for who they are. How could you not fall in love with Jack Black just at the sound of his voice?
Because there's a time and a place for Jack Black, and that involves rock and roll.
Yeah.
You're not incorrect, so.
I've also seen him live in Tenacious D, so.
Throwing it out here for other people, again, because this is like, no one's ever going to hear it, throwing it out there, another Brutal Legend. I love that game. I would love to see another one. Sequel. Come on, folks. Anyway.
Oh, folks.
Come on, folks. So this is another 2 to 4 player game, 60 to 90 minutes. Ninjas have taken over the land of pandas.
Oh, no.
Why would I hear that? Do I think of, like, bad dudes? And I'm like, ninjas have kidnapped the president. Are you a bad enough dude to rescue him? Are you a bad enough panda to defeat the ninjas? Yeah. I don't know. So the panda clans are going to reclaim their land from the ninja bandits. Because they're apparently also bandits.
They're ninjas and bandits?
Yeah, I know.
How much
Ninja
further can you
bandits.
get?
I know.
Can I actually root for the ninja bandits in this scenario, or
No.
losing interest?
So you have to remove the ninja menace, rebuild your cities. But only one clan basically can get that seat. Hence why you're playing it out, that you're defeating it. And you're taking on the role of one of the leaders of the panda clans. And you have monks, warriors, and governors that move around the board. Defeating ninjas. Your governor will defeat ninjas. He's like, what is he bureaucracying your ninjas to death?
I pass laws against you. Ha 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 ha.
I law you to death. Oh no! I'm charged. My taxes are too high. Arr! Like the warriors and the monk, I understand, but governors defeating ninjas?
Well, little did you know, they're not governors at all.
The
They're
governors?
the governators.
So there's pandas with machine guns?
I was going to go elsewhere with that, but sure. I was just saying they're samurai in disguise, but governators works too.
They're samurais in disguise. They're more than meets the eye.
Yes.
Can the panda samurai governator also turn into a truck?
Sure.
No, sorry. Doesn't happen.
Look, they can now. Why do
See?
you so they also, basically we're saying they also have to be Transformers? Question mark?
Yes. Hey, that's the only way they can beat ninja bandits.
Because ninja bandits are that powerful. Hey, the image showed up. Successfully. I mean, it seems like an interesting game beyond the ninjas and the pandas and things like that. You've got action boards. It's got a level of complexity, which is cool. Building miniatures. It's got 52 miniatures and 30 character miniatures and 30 building miniatures. Which
It does have enough miniatures. It will occupy my hands.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, you look at what the board looks like, and it does, again, as I say, have a level of complexity to it that seems interesting. So, cool. Panda men fighting ninjas. I might be able to get behind this. Again, if I don't hiccup a little bit, which apparently I'm trying to. I don't know if necessarily I would purchase it myself, but this is a step up from the Mahjong game, I have to say, for closely trying it, getting it for myself. Like, I feel like, you know, I might want to read through the rules, because fortunately Cmon Games is really good at providing rule books, just to check it out and see, like, okay, this is how it all works. Would this seem like something that I really, really would want to get? And if it is, sure. So, alright, though. Do you have anything else you guys want to talk about with pandas?
No.
I've talked the hell out of pandas, so...
Alright, so... The next one, the last one that came out this month that I just want to mention about is Council 4. Your wealthy merchants. And you're basically trying to make your trade empire across the 3 kingdoms. Each city of these kingdoms has a council, and this won't let you set up shop necessarily. You gain sales rights by manipulating people sitting on the council. Uh-huh.
I want to be the Yellow Pope.
I mean, I don't know if that's an actual character, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong about being a Yellow Pope.
Or, I'm sorry, but that totally looks like a dude in a dress.
Who, the dude in the dress?
I'm fairly certain it's a dude in a dress.
With horns.
Yes.
We don't mention the hordes. We're in a polite society, okay?
Yes.
And the undead looking guy.
No, okay, no, it's not a dude in a dress, because if you get close enough, that dude in a dress totally has
boobs. Yes,
Yes.
I saw that it has cleavage. That doesn't mean it's not a dude in a dress. He's just been augmented.
Using primitive magic or medieval technology.
I have a question.
You
Please don't take this the wrong way, but what inspired you to zoom in on the page that much?
You don't. When you go onto the the Council of 4 page and go to the top of it, you get a better view of all the entire thing.
You get a better view of the dude in the dress's boobs.
You get to see the Yellow Pope, dude in dress with boobs, the caveman pirate, and the Knight Viking.
I thought he was an undead knight.
He could be undead. He could be a
He
frost.
he looks kind of undead, and there's like a heart cut out in his armor.
And he kind of looks Viking-y though, so I think he's like
Yeah.
undead Knight Viking.
And then there's also the Queen of England,
Yeah, there's the Queen of England in the back.
who's holding a hand that has a finger pointed up.
Yes, just like
He has a scepter that has a hand
woo!
with a finger pointed up. I don't know what that is, and
We're
I don't know
number
why her
one.
head. I
We're
also
number
don't know
one.
why her head is being swallowed by a giant starfish.
Now, you brought up a lot of good points there, Joe. Let me answer a few of them. Her head is being swallowed by a giant starfish. Because if you were a starfish, wouldn't you want to eat her face? That looks delicious. Secondly, she goes to a lot of sporting events, and she's like, how can I support my team more queenly? She's like a golden scepter with a finger pointing up. We are number 1. Let me tell you, it got super awkward when she made the one with 2 fingers pointing up. It's like, we're number 2, and everybody was so confused.
And if they were in England, they'd be very insulted. Maybe. Oh, I know. Maybe the scepter with the finger pointed out is to attack the starfish that's eating her head.
I just like caveman pirate with the keys on his hat because he's like it's like where's the skull? No, he's got keys for his symbol.
It's PG-13, okay?
Okay. It is 14 plus age. All right, so
PG-14.
I mean, you got your council of characters. It looks like you got 6 characters to choose from, 2 to 4 players. That's always cool. Or a queen
Characters.
miniature. Oh no,
There's characters.
there's a queen miniature, big merchant miniature, and I guess another miniature of some type.
Bob the Builder.
Probably. God. I mean, I'm sorry. The art on this game draws me in because it's just so, like, weird.
Yes, and the queen miniature still has a starfish eating her head.
It does. It does. But if you look like at the Influence the Council, there looks to be, like, 5 miniatures. It's got the 4 they showed plus 2 others. Like, there's a dude or lady with a tricorn hat and a big stick. And then there's, like, lady with big hair. Oh, okay. Lady that looks like it's got big hair, but if you look at the image.
Does dude look like a lady?
Yes. So, I don't know if they actually have all of these for the game, or if you have, like, if they have bonuses they're going to have eventually or something. I don't know. I'm curious.
Hi, Curious. I'm Joe.
Hi, Joe. They probably, like, both of those. Yes. Oh my god. It's a bunch of cosplayers playing the board game. Oh my god, it really is.
And that explains the dude who's dressed up as a lady.
Yes.
He's cross-playing.
Yes, crossplay. And Starfish Lady, maybe it's supposed to be that way. It's like it's like
I want to
Starfish
just
Queen.
change. I want to change the goal of the game is to rescue the queen who's slowly being her head slowly being eaten by the starfish.
I have no idea how you do that, but
I don't know, but I totally want that to be a thing.
Oh god, yeah. Oh, this.
And then reward is a golden scepter with a finger.
Mm. This is an interesting game. Okay, so it looks like, the reason why it's 6 different types of council members, 4 of which are in each city. So it's kind of random which council's in what city, or what kingdom it looks like. So those are examples of 4 of the council, not your merchants. So the council is Golden Pope, cross-dressed guy, lady guy, caveman pirate, undead Viking knight.
Who elected these people?
It was Starfish Queen chose them. Starfish Queen decided that this was her council, the greatest counselor she could have to serve her.
I hate to see who applied and got denied.
Well, they showed 2 other characters when it looks like the characters. They've got like tall hair, which is really supposed to be a hat lady, and tricorn person with like a big stick to crush things. No.
Okay.
Gold Pope is just like.
You know what? I have a theory.
I don't know.
I have a theory that dude who looks like a lady is actually the queen's brother.
Oh god!
And that's the only reason why he made it on the council.
Also, he really looks like a lady. He's just really inbred. So he's just a dude with breasts, or some kind of genetic disorder.
He has man boobs.
He's got man boobs. He's got really well developed man boobs. It's not moobs. It's actual man boobs. Anyway. And undead, and for some reason they, put the undead Viking knight, because I guess he attacked once, and they're like, he died and came back as like an undead, and they're like, hey, you could be useful.
No, it's the queen's former husband.
Oh. No, and what about Caveman Pirate?
They found him in a glacier floating in the sea.
Yes. Oh my god. Why are we making terrible stories for this game? I don't know.
It's better than the actual game, so.
So.
Quick, we need a story for the Golden Pope.
Alright, so the Pope was visiting a very poor neighborhood and he came across a beggar, and the beggar was holding out a bowl, and he's like, this is my bowl now. And then he was turned to gold for his greed.
And elected to the council?
Yes. We didn't say he was turned to animate gold. Hence why he got on the council. He's a man made of gold.
Well, he does have a blonde beard on top of all the gold.
He looks very gold. It is incredibly gaudy, that, like, gold Pope. So it's, that's out now, I guess. Probably.
I like that. I like that reasoning as well.
I mean,
he found out the Earth spins, and terrified of being thrown off, he weighs himself down so he can stay on the ground.
That also seems appropriate for Golden Pope. Everybody loves a Golden Pope. So They are all available now. Council of 4. If whatever we talked about makes you really interested in it, it's $60. The other two didn't give me a price point for whatever reason, but that one gave me one. So, if you two want Golden Probe Crossdresser, Caveman Pirate, and Undead Viking Knight, you two can play and influence this powerful council ahead of you.
Don't forget about the queen
And Starfish,
that rules them all, whose head is slowly being eaten by a starfish.
She has to make sure to finish her rule before the starfish finishes its meal. It's a challenge for all the royals in her family. How can you have to eat by starfish eventually? It's very awkward for, having relations with other people, but they still try to find a way. Honey, could you move that starfish? No, it's devouring my head, slowly but surely.
Hey,
you're just gonna have to work around it.
The Undead King found out the hard way.
The starfish got him?
It ripped his heart out.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay, why don't we move on to our last topic?
Must we?
I don't know anymore. I don't know. We've reached some kind of weird. I don't know.
I feel like that's the appropriate term for what we've reached.
Yeah.
We've reached maximum. I don't even know.
This is very accurate. All right. So, yet another new release that we're going to talk about here today is Jester's Court, Suit Thyself, the board game. I'll try to get a good image here for everyone to see.
The first thing I have when I see this is it looked like it came out of the late 70s.
It does a little bit. Yes, I definitely agree.
Especially with the little tiddlywinks.
Yeah.
Just the color scheme and the tiddlywinks just make me think 70s.
Just a
Thank
little
you
bit
for
70s.
that.
Like late 70s, early 80s.
Just the 70s.
Even the box itself
just
almost.
The 70s. Yeah, so for the name, I'm unsure why you're not a jester. Instead, you're a mage, not a powerful mage. And you and some other spellcrafters have angered powerful wizards. So the wizards of hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs banish you to the limbo called Jester's Court. All right. And you must collect banners from a wizard's suit across the edge of Jester's Court to gain the banner. 2 to 4 players, 60 to 90 minutes. It's kind of limbo you're trying to get out of. It's a 2 to 4 player game. It's unique movement and cooperative mechanics with a little bit of luck and strategy. Using cards, you maneuver your mage on the grid, attack other players, weaken their avatars, eventually cause them to lose some of the suits they've collected. So you can kind of work together, or you can go against each other, which I like those like those kind of things where it comes down to cooperative or non-cooperative as the situation of the game comes. So you can cooperate, but there's also you're still competing with each other. I like games like that. That's an interesting one about. You can place blocking stones and 2 things to heal your mages as you're caught in Jester's Court. Yeah, the tiddlywinks are wonderful. Well, the thing is, I think this game is very self-published. Well, not like self-published, but like small company published.
Yeah.
So,
and you're using a deck of cards to play too.
Yeah. So it's got like wooden pieces, tiddlywinks. Each got your own dice. It's very, very simple things that is. So, and it does really feel out of the 70s. I will agree. When you just look at it with the art and stuff, it's very 70s without being 70s. So, it's an interesting one. And yes, they have a print-to-play version.
Yes. I would imagine that wouldn't be hard to do.
Mm-hmm. So 2-player game, you'll need 1 deck of cards with 2 jokers. 3 to 4-player games, you need 2 decks of cards with 4 jokers. So the jokers are important too. You need basically standard poker decks. We were laughing because talking too much has kind of got my throat a little sore here.
I'm sorry. I'm a monster.
No, it's okay. The entire thing of that Council of 4 was a monster. So, it's alright. It's okay. We're beyond it now. We're better. Theoretically.
No, the queen is attacking. The queen is attacking.
The starfish on the queen has decided that it's had enough of her and it's turning around the rest of us. Or Gold.
It's going to eat. Go ahead.
Or Gold Pope is forcing you to lift himself and carry himself around. Oh, that got minimized for some reason. Thank you. With playing around with that. Anyway. All right. Do you guys want to add anything to this? I don't know what I want to add to this. It's an interesting looking game. It definitely has a very classic game, 70s game feeling, but it looks cool. That it like looks like not like looks cool, like looks like it'd be an interesting game to play. That's the way I want to look. Looks like a cool game to play with some interesting mechanics, and it's $33, which isn't a lot. Again, I guess you're not playing for like super, detailed figures and stuff, so that's a little bit of a balancing act. Either you have anything to add to this? What do you think about it?
It needs a Starfish Queen.
Everything does. We're never going to get away from Starfish Queen. It is the greatest thing ever now. I'm sorry. We've put the, Council of 4 up on this, stupid pedestal of idiocy that we will never get away from. It's going to be wonderful.
This is honestly the best thing that's ever happened, so just let it happen.
We just have to let it happen more.
I think we need to write a game about this.
Write a game, make an actual game to go with the storyline.
No, like a role-playing game about these characters.
Yes. Gold Pope cross-dressing. Or Brother of the Queen with presents. Caveman pirate who's found in ice. And the undead Viking king knight who lost his heart to the starfish. Who's eating the queen's head. Who's a very big sports fan. Because we established she's a sports fan.
Because of the scepter with the finger.
Yeah, they're number one. They're number one. Anyway, so that's it for our docket for today. Why don't we get into our regular segments now that we've gotten through that stuff? Let's start with Kickstarter Korner. Do you either of you have anything at this point in time? I don't know for myself. I will.
I do. I linked to it.
Go ahead.
I linked to it in the Discord.
Oh, it
you can paste the link in the chat too.
All right.
It won't come up. It might not come up.
Because I'm not allowed to. Yeah. Stop posting links. See.
I can post links.
Well, take that message. And, did you paste it? Come on, man. Why aren't you pasting it? So, basically, I found some dice.
Battle Bond we'll probably talk about in a week or two. I like to grab someone else for... Oh, that's right. We were going to talk about that last week, and we didn't have Joe, or so we didn't have Worm, and we talked a little bit about it. We'll talk a little bit more about Battle Bond in the future, though. It is a topic that I do want to hit into some more. Did it come out? I don't know if it come out. We'll probably get it next week. I'll figure stuff out. Anyway, continue with your thing.
So, I found dice, and let me give it a link to Joe. And these are called boogie dice, and they are electronic dice that are activated by noise, and they are automatically rolling, which is really cool. So like you snap over them, and they just start rolling, and then they stop after a few, and you have it rolled your dice for you. And I think that's pretty cool. I don't know why I think it's this cool, but it's awesome. It also comes with a game. The game looks kind of simple, but I think I would use the dice as automatically rolling dice a lot, just to freak out people. Oh yes, I rolled a 6.
No, that's kind of cool. It's like, that's kind of interesting for a new type of dice. Rolling itself, cool.
Hey, stop rolling yourself.
Stop rolling yourself. Stop rolling yourself.
I get it. I get it.
And it looks like it has hit its pledge. Did it finish up its thing, or has it still got a couple of days on Kickstarter?
They already got 185,000.
Oh, okay. And I think the Kickstarter is done, but it looks like you can get it still.
Yeah.
They have links up to allow you to still get it. So you can. The Kickstarter finished. They're getting it on the Indiegogo that's connected to it. You can still get it, so you can still connect up to it and get them. That's pretty awesome. Cool. Excellent. All right, Joe, do you have anything this week? Are you SOL for?
Sure. I'm gonna go with this.
That is the best attitude for any kind of thing you can get.
It looks interesting. Out of the ones I was looking at, this one looks the most interesting. Evil Baby.
All
Survival card game.
All right, then.
It is $391 out of $6,675. So it needs some help.
Just
It
a
only
little
has
bit.
13 backers, but it has 27 days to go.
Okay, so it's got some time. It's working on it. It
It
might
has
have.
time. 2 to 5 players take turns drawing cards from the deck in clockwise order, 1 card each turn. During the turn, you can play any special cards if you have them. If you draw an Evil Baby card, you die.
All right, then.
There's defense cards. You can defend yourself against the Evil Baby if you have a defense card in your hand. In that case, the player replaces the Evil Baby card back into the deck in a secret location. All players start with 1 defense card.
Cool.
This kind of makes me think of Exploding Kittens.
It's exactly like Exploding Kittens. If you look at where was that tab? If you look at the Nap Magic cards, it says look at the next 3 cards or give the deck a good shuffle. It's the same
It's
exact
Exploding
thing.
Kittens with babies.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to give you what I really.
Mm-hmm.
It's a voodoo doll.
Oh, okay.
Or I could hide in a box.
So you're a cat hiding in a box or something?
Nope. I'm hiding from the baby, remember.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, find a warp zone. Drain pipe.
Interesting.
To escape from the baby.
Interesting.
And they have 2 editions. Oh, if they get funded, they'll also have a 2nd edition, which is Evil Baby Hardcore Edition.
Okay.
What's so hardcore about it?
I don't know. It doesn't say. Maybe there's more babies in it. I don't know.
And then maybe these babies are more hardcore.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense.
They've been working on their core muscles, actually. They've been doing a lot of sit-ups. So their core is very hard.
That could be true. Yeah.
So if you like Exploding Kittens but want to play with babies instead...
Yeah. All right.
Evil Baby survival card game.
Okay. Well, I got one too for us. I've got Interbellum RPG. So this is an interesting one because there are some role-playing games about World War II. This is specifically World War I and the time in between World War I and World War II. So you try to take on like adventurers, soldiers, deserters, spies in this kind of world, but it's also in like technology and magic in this kind of time period. So it's very World War I, mixing like trench warfare, technology and some magic. So you got biplanes kind of going on. It's a world of myth and magic, progressed to the Diesel Age, basically, is what it is, and fighting in something similar to World War I. So you can have fantasy races in it, like you have orcs and goblins in your armies. If you're trench warfare, you know, you can have tanks and like cannons, but you can also have like a lot of interesting mixture of this kind of thing here. So the system itself looks pretty cool, just with these kind of ideas. It's 6 stats: charisma, intelligence, agility, perception, strength, vitality. And I like the little art they have with the showing off the stats. Let me see if I can get this so that people can see some things. Did I switch that off? I did not switch that on off. Yay! So it's like a world of xenophobia and prejudice. They're still struggling with slavery in some areas. So there's a lot of like interesting things going on. I'll get to the picture there that I wanted to share because that's the best picture. Yay! I can quickly do this. I'm getting better at this entire, like, you know, putting these pictures up quickly and efficiently.
Yay! The villagers rejoice.
I love these pictures of these. You know, like, it's got the guy with, like, the shovel broken on his head. He's like, ha-ha! I'm still alive. And you kind of have a class, your profession, which is officer, rifleman, medic, mage, technician, wild card, or other, and a couple others. And each class has unique perks and develops different skills. So there's a lot of interesting setup for these things, and you know, it's a cool.
They
setting.
shall not pass.
I know. I mean, I think this is like very interesting because it is set in such an interesting and unique setting in comparison to a lot of other RPGs. Because it is definitely a... what's the word I'm looking for? I'm doing bad.
Unique?
Unique. Because most of the time you do see world settings from that time period. It's either going to be directly like pulp, so it'll be like, you know, like Indiana Jones style adventures, actual World War II adventures, or something of the like. Or sometimes you might even get like the detective stories, you know, so noir. Those tend to be of the time periods that are matching closer to here. But this is specifically going back a couple of decades, but also making a fantasy version of it. So we have our, like, you know, our World War I fantasy world. That's kind of cool. And I think I like the uniqueness of it. So that's why I want to talk about it. So, anyway, basic Kickstarter information. It has funded itself. It wanted 3,000. It's hit 5,000. It's got 4 days to go. So if this really interests you, hey, you still got some time to throw yourself into it. Not literally. Anyway, $5 to get the PDF. $5 will get you the PDF. So it's a pretty simple way to get into it there. And that's it. Okay, cool. Why don't we move on to our second of our regular segments, of course, which is our Week in Tabletop. This is a segment where we tell you what we did in our tabletop games this week and if there's any interesting stories. James, you're our guest. Why don't you share with you our Week in Tabletop?
Alright. So it was a pretty slow week on the tabletop for me. I did play a couple games with my family. We played this one game called Coal Country.
Mm-hmm.
It's an economic game about the stereotypical coal country kind of thing. It's like you need coal and are you gonna like mine for coal and stuff like that. And it was a really fun game just because I'm such a gigantic nerd.
You?
Yes, me. I'm sorry to surprise everybody, but the general gist around the table was that they would not play this again unless I was also playing, because they could not do any of the math solves. It was fantastic. So that was it. Like, it was a really fun game too. So I'm glad I played it. It was interesting just because it was Have you guys ever played any hardcore economic games like Automobile or stuff like that?
No.
Okay. Well, don't play it with me because I'm no fun. Because I take everything way too seriously.
You being serious?
It's surprising, Joe. I don't need your criticism.
So
I'm just picking on you.
I know.
Joe, how about you? What amazing stories do you have for our?
Oh god, my brain is dead this week.
This week?
Oh, actually, I have one that doesn't involve you.
Ooh.
Haha. That is right. I do have a life sometimes outside of you.
Nobody believes you.
I assumed you would, but I mean.
On the holiday, with my friend Brad and our friend Blaze, we played some tabletop sim.
Ooh.
We played a game. Give me a second. I'm trying to look it up because I can't remember what the name of it is. Workshop. After the Virus. It's a zombie survival game for up to 3 players. It's a card game where you have a starting deck and each character has a starting ability. You can only take up to 3 damage. And it can be either a piecemeal game or a total story game.
Okay.
There's let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 5 areas. You have your starting area, which is the outbreak, the next area, which is the base, then family, war, and the cure. And in those, there can be several different things. Like, when you start with outbreak, you have chaos, and it has a different goal, different amount of zombies that are added to your deck. When you get a zombie, it goes in front of you. If you don't defeat it, it bites you. And you can take either damage to the head, the brain, which automatically kills you. Arm, which then you can only have up to 1 weapon equipped instead of 2. Or a leg, which you can't use cards to run away anymore. And the goals change, like anywhere between, in the turn with 6 prepared cards in play. When you play a card, there's normally a cost of discarding a card or discarding a specific thing to actually prepare it so it's ready to use. Also, there's ones that you have to get survivors and different things. So it's pretty simple to learn. A lot of them are pretty quick, and they have different. Each scenario is a different level. It'll tell you if it's a quick or a long scenario. We did the first 3.
Cool.
So the only downside is the rules are kind of vaguely written. So there can be a lot of, well, does this work or doesn't it?
I think from my week, we of course played the Time Stories Expedition Endurance, which we both did it wrong and right, and we managed to play through the entire thing in 1 session, which is all that mattered. We made some mistakes, we corrected our mistakes, we played through the rest of it, we finished it up, and not in too bad of a time. It only took us about 2.5 hours to finish it up completely.
Which is freaking amazing.
Yes, but we've gotten better at playing through them, as I think one of those important things. the night before, we had a whole lot of us, and we played some Suro of the Sea, which is very fun. And I think that's all. We ended up playing some Suro of the Sea and just chatting for a while.
It took forever to play Suro of the Sea.
Well, because two of us ended up in an epic battle. Neither of us are dying, and somehow scathing by all the flying dragons.
I think I should have had us just play Suro normally using Suro of the Sea's box, which is something you can do. You basically just don't put the dragons out, remove all the special cards from the deck, and then it works normally like normal Suro.
Right.
So something we could have done. You can play Suro, the normal one, with Suro of the Sea, but I thought about doing that. But still, it was fun. But maybe next time we'll just do normal and not bother with the dragons.
Right.
I only had a little bit of role-playing this week where I finally got back to that one game I had been playing, which now will be probably like... I don't know my schedule is going to be on, like, for the week at this point in time, but in the game, the one where I was testing out some, what's it called? Mythic stuff in Pathfinder. Banished Orcus.
Oh, okay.
We banished Orcus. He was dumb. So it was a good adventure. Some people try to summon him. We banished him back. We didn't have to fight him. Because even at, like, ridiculous levels, guess what? His stats are more ridiculous.
You know what you should have done? Cast Otto's Irresistible Dance on him.
He's got spell resistance.
I know, but still.
It's because it's like that was a quirk of 3.5. I think it didn't have what we cast it on didn't have spell resistance, and it didn't allow for a save, and it just danced for
which was awesome. It was like, oh, we shouldn't be here for like another 10 levels. Run away? Sure. Otto's Irresistible Dance. Bye. And
I think I had like the elemental gem, so I was just like, dig out a hole. Let's just go through here. It's too. We're just gonna do a medium-sized tunnel, something that the giant, like, colossal thing behind us can't fit through. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that adventure. Good times. So it was a pretty good week for me. Hopefully we'll get back to some more role-playing next week. And, okay. I'll get to some things during the announcement. So I think that's it for this week's show, though. Questions. Ask the Tabletop. Anybody in chat, if you have any questions, you can ask them now. You can also leave them in the description of this video if you want. You can send a messages on Twitter to me, Worm, or Joe. You can check us up on Discord. There's lots of ways that you can send us. There's also a email, discussingtabletop@yahoo.com, that if you wanted to go check that out, you could also message us at. Hi, what are you up to?
Do I hear a stream these?
Yeah, she's pretending to eat something.
Stream these!
Your daddy wants you. I'm fairly certain he called for you to attempt to summon you. Because you probably made a mess somewhere and have to clean it up. I'm just saying that tends to be the normal thing. Anyway, so, yep, lots of ways you can reach us. We'll ask any kind of questions, we'll answer them, etc., etc., etc. It doesn't even have to be specifically tabletop related. If it's just general nerdy related or anything, as long as it's not too personal, we'll answer the questions. Anyway, so
how much wood would woodchuck chuck if woodchuck could chuck wood?
What do you tip?
I was going to say 3 furls.
A woodchuck could chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could chuck wood if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Are you done?
Yes.
You're done.
Okay. Let's have people like say where you are, where they can find you, that kind of thing. Anything they want to support. James, you got anything you want to support out there?
Yes, I would like to support Winter Bear Games. I forget what his channel is.
It's Winter Bear Games. It's
I should have known that, but also
Twitch.tv.
This is a very good channel. If you guys haven't subscribed, you'll enjoy it a lot more. The additions it adds are impeachable. It's not the right word, but.
Joe, how about you?
I support you.
Yeah, figured. As for myself, you can find me here daily streaming. As for tomorrow, just for a little update, I probably will not be streaming in the morning. I think I'm going to go see my grandmother. It's been a month. I'm not 100% sure if I'm coming along or not. I will let people know on Twitter if I'm going to be streaming or not, or if I'm not. I will at least be around for Sundays at the tabletop in the evening. That's an easy one to get home for. Also, next time I'm streaming in the morning will probably be Monday morning. Well, it will be Monday morning, but I don't know if it's Lars first or not. Depends on if Worm's home or not. Don't know. As for my normal stuff, you can check my other stuff on the YouTube side. I have my scripted content based on tabletop. I put up my tabletop simulator videos there. These videos for this one, the VOD, goes up on the YouTube side. You can check out my links down below. I've got my Discord, my Twitter, Patreon if you want to show extra support. The big announcement is I am going to be having a role-playing game show, a D&D 5e show that's going to be starting up in 2 weeks. So it's coming up really soon.
Which I gotta get a character finished for.
Yes. Joe is one of the players. Hey, early player announcement. But I will be doing a full list of player announcements soon, in the next couple of days. I'm trying to get one more person. It's technically an extra person. I'm hoping to grab them. If I do, great. If I'm not, we'll stick with the team we got kind of thing. So, that's it. And that's going to be the Madness of the Land. And this is going to take place in seasons, and season 1 will be starting. So, I hope you guys are going to be enjoying it. Anyway, I think that's it for today. Remember to check us here next week. Hopefully, we'll have Joe here. We'll have Worm back. Thank you,
James. I won't be here next week.
Oh, that's right. We'll have Worm back. Thank you, James, for joining us as a replacement for Worm this week, at least.
My pleasure.
Yep. And, of course, again, if you missed any of this, you can check out the VOD as I put it up on the YouTube channel, which should be in the next week. So, thanks, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday, and hopefully we'll see you here tomorrow for Sundays at the Tabletop. Bye, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.